And we're back. Thanks for those of you who were able to join us for our business session, and good morning, and welcome to those of you who are joining us for our general session for this historic, the first Carolinas Virtual District Convention, or VCON. Once again, I'm John Hefcox, I'm your district governor, and here's what you can expect from today's general session. We'll have some SLP representative remarks, our keynote address by Dave Kelly, how to engage and motivate members during the pandemic, and a 100-year club recognition. As you can see, we've got a jam-packed general session, and we're so lucky to have some very special guests with us. If you've owned a television or you've seen the Today Show or MSNBC, our first remarks are from a proud Kiwanis family alumni, NBC News anchor Craig Melvin. Craig was a member of the Key Club at Columbia High School, Go Caps, and was president of Key Club International from 1996 to 1997. Following Craig, we'll hear from Raghav Chari, governor of the Carolinas District of Key Club International and a student at Panther Creek High School in Cary, North Carolina. Then we'll hear from Malik Simmons of the Aktion Club of Brunswick County, and finishing with Azal Abduh, governor of the Carolinas District of Circle K International, and a student at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. We'll now go to Craig Melvin's remarks.
And good morning, Carolinas Kiwanis family members. Craig Melvin here from NBC News, from the Today Show, from MSNBC as well, although I'm not in the studio, obviously this morning. I'm in the home studio, the basement studio. But you may not know this, but I'm actually a proud alum of the Carolinas District. I was the lieutenant governor for the Columbia High School chapter of Key Club in 1995. Wow, I'm getting old. And then I was international president for Key Club International in 96, 97. I was a young lad many years ago, and I've talked a little bit in the past about how much the organization impacted a young Craig Melvin, and I'm eternally grateful for the leadership opportunities and just the development. I mean, I remember those conventions fondly. In fact, a number of my friends to this day are friends from Key Club, and we met at district conventions there in the Carolinas, and then the international conventions that I was so excited about attending. So the organization has always meant a lot to me, and I wanted to just take a moment to thank you for continuing to create those kinds of opportunities for young people, and service projects as well. When I was in high school, some of my fondest memories were being out with fellow Key Clubbers, especially that parking lot. We used to help raise money for our local chapter, our local Kiwanis club, by parking cars at the football games. I remember that, and spending time at an elderly care facility, just hanging out with people who are in their 70s and 80s and needed someone to talk to. You're doing a lot of good, and you have been. My God, as I hear, it's been 100 years, and I understand. Obviously, like most of us, you're not going to be able to have the traditional Carolinas District Kiwanis Convention, but again, know that your community service efforts continues to make a tremendous amount of difference in the lives of young people. As you celebrate your century of service leadership in North and South Carolina, I want to encourage you to look back with pride at all the accomplishments from the past, but to not turn away from the work that is in front of you. If there was ever a time that this country and the world, the children especially, needed Kiwanis, it's now. We need you. You can't stop. You can't rest yet. I also want to congratulate the governor there, Governor John, his entire Take Action team on a year that we will never forget. Congratulations. Job well done, especially under extraordinary circumstances. Thank you for all of your work. Good luck on another year of service as you enter your second century of service. And I hope that you'll wake up with me tomorrow morning on the Today Show.
Hello, distinguished Kiwanis members of the Kiwanis District. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak with you all today. When people think about Kiwanis, they often think about the volumes of community service performed around the world and the millions of lives changed as a result of it. For me and my family, Kiwanis did change our lives, but not in the traditional way. Kiwanis changed our lives in terms of the interactions with people. One example is someone you all may already know, Tom Career. Mr. Career was a long-standing member of the Greenville Eastside Kiwanis Club, a past Kiwanis District Governor, and a member of the Kiwanis Key Club Committee. Mr. Career exemplified what Kiwanis is all about, and after getting to know my older brother, his commitment didn't stop there. 1 year after my brother graduated high school, Mr. Career drove an hour down to Clemson University to take my brother to dinner. He also made sure he was settling all right in college and making friends. Unfortunately, Mr. Career passed away a few years ago. However, his impact on my brother as almost a second father still remains to this day. My brother often says that Mr. Career is the reason he ran and was elected as the Kiwanis Key Club governor, and is forever grateful for his impact. Kiwanis is more than just the service we do in our communities. Similar to my brother, there have been many Kiwanians that have made an impact on my life as well. Steve Mayberry and his wife are both members of the Raleigh Midtown Kiwanis Club, and Mr. Mayberry is the Division 12 Kiwanis Lieutenant Governor. Mr. Mayberry supported me throughout my entire term when I was District Treasurer. He invited me to Kiwanis meetings, helped me try to plan a 5K run, and supported my home club of Panther Creek for Fall Rally despite not having a sponsoring Kiwanis club. At Kiwanis Midyear, Mr. Mayberry told me that he wanted to go to a district convention just to see me run for governor. His unwavering support instilled confidence that I continue to carry as governor. Mr. Career changed my brother's life, and Mr. Mayberry gave me the courage and support I needed to run for governor. And I will be forever grateful for the impact they had on my Key Club experience. Both Mr. Career and Mr. Mayberry made a connection with young people that makes us want to be a new generation of Kiwanis. These experiences reinforce the ideal that kids need Kiwanis, and there are plenty of student leaders out there that can benefit from your support. We have a district board of dedicated leaders that love serving their clubs, that are eager for mentorship, especially during times like these. I know firsthand what it's like for district board members to meet such passionate people that we aspire to grow up to be like. And I look forward to all that our Kiwanis family will accomplish this year as we support one another. Thank you so much for having me.
I am Malik Simmons. I am a proud member of the Action Club of Brunswick County. I have served 3 years on the board of my club. I have found that I really enjoy being in Action Club. I want to share with you some of my personal and Action Club experiences. First, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am currently a student at Brunswick Community College and improving my skills in math, reading, and social studies. My goal is to go to North Carolina State University and to study criminal justice. I have been to North Carolina State University twice for Special Olympics games and have had the honor of eating in the Wolfpack cafeteria and have stayed in the North Carolina State dorm rooms. My interest in criminal justice is something I've had for a long time. In middle and high school, I volunteered for peer court and teen court, and I have served as both defense and prosecuting attorney as a court clerk and bailiff. While I have been in school, I have had lots of jobs in the restaurant business. As you can see, I know a little bit about food. I am also active in my church. I sing in the men's choir, the praise team, and the inspirational choir. I also help out with the Sunday school. I really enjoy helping people, and Action Club has given me many new opportunities to do that. We have helped those that are hungry by packing food every 3 months for Brunswick Family Assistance. We have collected canned goods and donated them to food pantries for over 2 years now. After Hurricane Florence, we collected canned goods and personal items and contributed those along with $200 in cash to help the North Carolina Boys and Girls Home in Lake Waccamaw. We have helped the elderly by singing Christmas carols at their nursing homes each of the last 3 years. We have tried to help our troops serving overseas by writing them letters at least once a year. We have raised lots of money to help other causes like Special Olympics, Pause for People, which is also related to service dogs, our school foundation, and buying book bags and school supplies for students. We have raised the money by having car washes and selling candy bars, which is known as the world's finest chocolate, Seeds candy lollipops, and attraction coupon books. We have also sold these items at school and at various Kiwanis events. Being an Action Club has also taught me management skills. I now understand how meetings are ran and how important it is that we work together as a team. While on our board, I help make many decisions, induct new members, and make check presentations to help organizations we help, like Special Olympics. I have also had the opportunity to do public speaking. For example, I got to speak to the Wilmington Kiwanis Club to encourage them to start an Action Club in their county. I spoke to the North Brunswick Kiwanis Club to thank them for their support and give them an update on our club's activities. In my club's October meeting with our 3 sponsoring Kiwanis clubs and the sponsoring Early College High School Key Club. At that meeting, past Kiwanis Governor Les King presented me with a trophy naming me as the Carolina District's Action Club Member of the Year. While it would have been great to have received this honor at our convention, it was especially rewarding that my grandmother, who raised me, was present at the meeting in October, and she got to enjoy the surprise of that recognition with me. I hope my story and things my Action Club has done help inspire you. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the convention.
Good morning, Carolina's District of Kiwanis. I hope all of you are doing well through these troubling times. I'd like to begin by thanking Governor John for giving me a few minutes to speak with you all, and I'd also like to thank the Carolina's District of Kiwanis for all the continued support it has shown Carolina's CKI. As for who I am, my name is Azal, and I'm currently serving as the District Governor for the Carolinas District of CKI. I'm a senior studying computer science at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. This year marks my 3rd year in CKI as well as my 7th year in the Kiwanis family, and what amazing years those have been. So I'd like to relay a question I've heard many times as governor since the start of this global pandemic. How can we continue to serve the world during this pandemic? A lot of the times I would say ideas such as virtual service events, or like where cards or similar items are made and later sent, or raising money for a charity that supports those greatly affected. However, one more thing we can do during this time is grow. Better develop ourselves into people who can better serve the world. A lot of us have much more free time on our hands than we did a few months ago, and with everything transitioning into a virtual format, so I encourage you all to use some of that time to develop yourselves as human beings. As for how, I'll answer this with a message I heard from a speaker back when I was still in Key Club. If you want to grow, get uncomfortable. Personally, I held on to this quote for years. I remember back in February where I wasn't sure how to further develop myself, so I thought for a while, how could I get uncomfortable? And then the answer hit me, so I ran for governor. So you may be asking yourself that same question right now. How could I get uncomfortable? So I'll save you the thinking with a few suggestions. Use this extra time on your hands to try something you haven't done before or in a very long time. Learn a new skill. Reach out to someone you haven't contacted in a long time. Open your mind and explore different perspectives and views you may not have been exposed to in the past. Use your virtual voice to advocate. Start interacting with someone you never have. For example, like a fellow Kiwanian, a Circle K-er, a Key Clubber, an Action Club member, or even invite a CKI or other K-Fam member to your meetings who otherwise would not have attended. This list can go on, and the point is that when we're all comfortable, we don't grow, as we're used to everything and everyone around us. So get uncomfortable. And transitioning into a little different. For the past few years, the Carolinas District has brought multiple distinguished awards from international convention. This past year, I'm proud to announce that Carolinas has once again been awarded multiple distinguished awards, and they are as follows: Distinguished District Secretary Treasurer, two Distinguished District Chairpersons, Distinguished Kiwanis Committee Member, Distinguished District Administrator, a Club Membership Growth Award for UNC Chapel Hill, and lastly, we had one of our own members, Chelsea Higdon, inducted into the CKI Hall of Fame. Also, Chelsea, alongside another Carolina CKIer, Stephen Shaw, were officially retired from their board positions as they served on the international board through the 2019-2020 term. I'm honored to be representing such an amazing district of hardworking people this year. I'd like to finish us off by thanking you all for taking the time to listen to this, as well as again to thank the Carolinas District of Kiwanis for all the continued support it has shown Carolinas District of CKI. Thank you, and I hope you all enjoy this virtual conference and have an amazing year.
And we're back. Thank you so much to our strong SLP members and leaders. I'd also like to thank our Kiwanians who give their time and energy to support our service leadership programs, or SLPs. In particular, I'd like to recognize Scott Johnson of the Key to Kiwanis Club, who serves as our Key Club District Administrator, and his committee of Kiwanians who work so diligently with our high school student leaders. I'd also like to recognize Jennifer Hefcox of the Kiwanis Club of Columbia as administrator for our Circle K district, along with past Kiwanis Governor Don Puderbaugh Hodges, who serves as the assistant administrator for Circle K. Moving on to our keynote address, I'm pleased to welcome Dave Kelly, America's student leadership trainer, trademark Dave Kelly. I met Dave way back in 1999 at Kiwanis International Headquarters. Dave's Kiwanis experience makes him the perfect person for us to hear from today, as his humor, expertise, and motivational skills are in high demand as we look to adapt to our new normal. It's my pleasure to pass control of our meeting to Dave Kelly. Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
Doing great, Governor John. How are you this morning?
Great.
Coming to you live this morning from Metro Atlanta, Georgia. I am thrilled to be here with you, Carolinas Kiwanians. This is a great opportunity for us to get together and share this interesting and unusual Kiwanis year with one another. I'm thrilled to be with you. As John said, we have known each other for a long time, but I have to let you know I have known the First Lady, Jennifer, even longer. She was the Circle K governor here in Georgia, and I was her district administrator. So I appreciate the opportunity to be back with them again and to be with all of you. I've had the great opportunity to be a Kiwanian for a while, for over 30 years now, and also a professional speaker for the past 15 years. And it's something that I love, something I enjoy doing. But as I think back on my time as both a Kiwanian and as a speaker, I find now that I do feel like I have a pretty confident approach to speaking and being in front of audiences. But it wasn't always that way. I can remember a time early on when I was at a school where I was going to be with students, and I was waiting to be introduced to go into the room. And I was outside in the hallway, and I could look in and I could see through a window in the door the students, and they were sitting there, and some of them were just waiting. A few of them were talking to each other. Some of them were fidgeting, poking one another. Things that students do when they're waiting. And I was thinking, oh, are they going to like me? Are they going to like my stories? How is this going to go? And then from inside the room, I heard, and now, boys and girls, welcome Mr. Kelly. And I went in to face the most hostile and volatile of audiences possible, 5-year-olds. I was actually at an at-risk elementary school here in Atlanta to read to kindergartners. And so I strode into the room, and all of the little people were sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor in front of me. Remember doing that? and I sat in the reader chair, which was designed for a 5-year-old. And I looked at the kids and I said, "Hi, boys and girls. I'm Mr. Kelly, and I'm from the Kiwanis Club, and I'm here to read to you today." And I brought 3 books, all by Dr. Seuss. Does everybody like Dr. Seuss? And you know how little kids are. All their hands shot up, but then they looked around and they went back down again. And then they kind of came up again. And it seemed like Dr. Seuss was going to be a good bet. One little girl off to the side still had her hand up. And I said, "Yes, sweetie, do you have a question?" And she said, "I like Cat in the Hat." I hadn't brought Cat in the Hat that day, so I was afraid I might be in trouble. And then there was a little boy off to the side who still had his hand up. And I said, "Yes, do you have a question?" And he said, "We have 3 cats." And I looked over at the teacher for help, but she had her face buried in her hands in some sort of self-induced coma. And I knew I was on my own. So I figured I better go with the book that I always read to my daughters, my favorite one, Green Eggs and Ham. And so I started reading to the kids. I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam I am. That Sam I am, that Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. And all of the kids were rapt attention. Just like you are, waiting for more pictures from the book, right? I'm sorry, I don't have any more. But as I was reading on, and the kids were really into it with me, I was reading along, and this guy, whose name we never seem to learn, is telling Sam that he won't eat them with a mouse, and he won't eat them in a house, and he won't eat them here or there, and he won't eat them. And the kids shouted out, "Anywhere!" And I was thinking, great, they've read the book. And then he says, "I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them." And the kids shouted out, "Sam, I am." And I'm thinking, this is so awesome. I have audience participation. So now I'm really getting into it, and we're reading about the fox and the box and the rain and the train and the goat and the boat and all these places that he won't eat the green eggs and ham. And the kids are getting louder and louder, and they're shouting, "Anywhere!" and "Sam, I am." And they're getting so loud, in fact, that the first grade teacher from across the hallway came over and asked me if I could quiet the children down. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you kidding me? I'm on a roll here." Well, finally, we get to that one page where this guy is holding on. There's no words on it. He's holding on to a fork with the egg hanging off of it. And it's just sort of dangling there. And the look on his face said, it's to me, if there was a word on that page, that word would be ill. But then he eats the egg and he loves it. And he realizes how wonderful they are. And he tells Sam that he loves it and he will eat them in all those places that he said he wouldn't. And he finally gets all the way through to the end and he said, "I do so love green eggs and ham. Thank you, thank you. Sam, I am." And that's what the kids shouted out at the end of the story. And I was hooked. And I have been reading to those kids now for 20 years. Well, not the same kids. They've gotten a little older and grown up. Hopefully some of them are reading themselves. This is a class that I read to a few years ago. This is one of my favorite pictures in the world because I get paid in hugs. And if you look at the picture down in the corner to the right, the little boy in the red shirt with the big smile, he just went to school at Middle Georgia State University here in Georgia. His teacher, Miss G, who I worked with for about 15 years, adopted him as a godson and the whole family, and she took him to school. And so he grew up from being a kindergartner there with me and is now in college. And I love that picture because I get paid in hugs. And isn't that great, Kiwanians, when we get paid in hugs? We get all of these great opportunities to interact with kindergartners and middle school kids and high schoolers and college students, the student leaders that I just saw, and Malik from the Action Club. What wonderful work you're doing there in the Carolinas district to encourage community service and leadership development in the young people of our world. And it's something that is such a great thing when we develop serving leaders. Because to me, serving leadership is the most important type of leadership. And it goes back a long time. And there have been some great serving leaders who have talked about that during the time of the world. Like Dr. King, I think what he's telling us here is our service determines our greatness. And Mother Teresa, who says, if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. I think she's telling us that little things mean a lot. And all around us, there are these service opportunities, and some we may never get a chance to do again. But if we can do it now, let's do it. Let's not pass this way without serving a need. And as I said, it's not a new idea. It goes back a long way. The idea being that we're not here to be served, but to serve others. But now we're in a different type of a world. We're in a world where we can't get our hands on the service in a lot of ways in our clubs and in our communities. And what are we going to do? Well, here's the thing, Carolinas, Kiwanis. We're still in business. We've just got to do business differently. And so I've got some keys that I want to share with you and some ideas that I've come up with that I think can help your Kiwanis club and things that have actually been put in practice in my club as well. 3 keys. First of all, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about them. Make your meetings fun and interesting in the virtual space. We've got this opportunity here to engage members who might not otherwise be engaged because of the virtual opportunities that we have. And I'm going to share what my club has been doing and what I've seen from some other clubs. Be committed to service, even though you can't be together. There is so much that we can do. A couple of Saturdays ago, my wife and I and some other members of our club went to a program of Operation Homefront. They do military family support, and they were giving out backpacks and other school supplies to children of military service people. And so they would drive up and they would open up their trunk and they would put the backpacks and school supplies in. And we were there to be a cheer squad. We held posters encouraging them, telling them that they can do it, that they're going to be great, that they should just be themselves because everybody else is taken. Some wonderful posters and a great time. We had our masks, we socially distanced, and we still were able to serve. So there's some things that we can do. And then you got to find ways to have fun and fellowship even during this time. So let's dive into these a little bit more. First of all, you got to be intentional about engaging your members. This is a picture from one of our meetings here recently that our club did. We're actually doing hybrid meetings. We came back in person about 6 weeks ago, but for some of our members, it's hard for them to come to the meetings. Some of our members are a little older and they don't feel comfortable coming to the meeting place, which is fine. And I live a bit of a distance away from where our club meets, so I do the Zoom. It's more convenient for me to do it here from my home studio and also to allow members to participate. We've also had visitors come in, and you can see we have cameras in the meeting room to show what's going on there, as well as the people who have come in on the Zoom. And in the upper left-hand corner, that is was our speaker for the day. He is a professional speaker and a chess expert, and so he was there to talk to us about engaging students in participating in chess. And you know, you can actually do chess virtually. There are groups out there that are doing that, and he encouraged us to engage with them. Now, I want to encourage you to do what we're doing. Continue to offer the Zoom opportunity. We have members who have basically told us they're not coming back, and we don't want to lose those members. And so I do the Zoom, and here's the other thing that we do. We record those meetings, and then we post them. Now, I heard a statistic the other day. We had our Kiwanis governor speak to our club on Wednesday, and he told us that about 1/3 of all Kiwanis clubs in the world right now aren't even meeting at all. They're not meeting in person. They're not meeting virtually. So how are they getting anything done? They're doing some communication, but some of them, as you probably know, they're not doing anything, and we're going to lose people if we don't keep them engaged. So think about that. Record that meeting, post it on YouTube, your club's social media pages, other places. Send out meeting links to potential members so that they can watch. This one is from a meeting a few weeks ago. That is professional golfer Roberto Castro. We've got quite a few golfers in our club, and they brought guests. We actually had to move to a different meeting room that day. We had great attendance, and we even had, when I put the recording up, I just looked last night, 17 people have watched that recording. 17 people who were not there, 17 people who are potential Kiwanians. And as the Zoom host, a lot of those came in during the meeting through Zoom. I actually talked to a few people who are not Kiwanians, just as interested in golf, and talked to them about joining our club, as well as some local clubs that actually were a little closer to them. So we have these opportunities with us. Let's use the technology. And now, for those of you who are really into it, and if you do Zoom, they have just upgraded their technology where you can do filters. And trust me, your younger members, they know all about the filters, and you can do a lot of fun things in the meetings. So take a look at those opportunities that you have and make the meetings a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting. I actually ring the bell for the meetings from my home, and I have used the Wall Street bell that they use to open the trading day. I have my own gong and gavel that I have hit. I've used fight bells. We do a lot of fun things. And then our club president does a this date in history. And I have put up pictures of Marilyn Monroe and Tom Cruise from Risky Business, just to make the meeting a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fun. And the members try to guess who the person is. And then when I put up the picture, they all get to see it. So you can do these things by being creative. Let's be creative. We're still in business. We just got to do business differently. Next, we can do service anywhere. We are so used to this idea that we have to be together to do service, which is fun and we love it. But right now, those opportunities are not as great. And it's very hard for us to do that and serve some of the people that we would want to serve. So I've got a couple of ideas for you that I would like to share with you, and some things that I have done both in my Kiwanis Club, but also with students all over the country. One of them is to make dog toys out of old t-shirts. And you got a picture there, and here's one live that I made. You take an old t-shirt, you cut it into strips around the waist, and then you braid it together. So knot it at one end, braid it, knot it at the other end, and it makes a dog toy for an animal in a shelter like the Humane Society. You can see here I used a couple of different shirts to make it multicolored. These are great because these shelters don't have the budgets for a lot of toys. Is a dog going to just rip this up? Yes, but that's what dogs like to do. And so it is a great way to engage, and it can be something that a person can play with, because you know how dogs like to tug and fight and play. So it gives them a chance to engage and socially interact with people. So when they eventually do get adopted, that they'll be a little more socialized to working with people. This is something you can do. The Humane Society that I go to is actually not far from my house. They have outdoor bins. I put the dog toys in a bag, drop them in the bin, and then they get their donations. There's another thing that you can do to support your animal shelters, and it has to do with these. And I know, of course, you have these. And if you have those, then you're going to have these. And I know you probably have a lot of these because there's none of these left in the stores anymore. So what are we going to do with these? Donate them to the shelter. What they do is they will put a treat in the middle, and you can take paper towel rolls and they'll cut them in half, put a treat in the middle, put peanut butter on either end, and then they put it in a freezer. And then they give it to the dog to play with, but also the dog knows there's a treat in there. And they have to figure out how to get at that treat. That helps the dog's cognitive development. Simple little thing that you can do, and it makes such a big difference. So we can serve even when we can't be together, even when we can't actually physically touch those who we serve. What about story time? You can see a screenshot there from a video that I did, actually reading Cat in the Hat over Facebook Live. And I've done several of those videos, and they have been pretty well received. And so I have a lot of children's books from when my daughters were growing up. And so I've got my Green Eggs and Ham, and I did a Facebook Live with that. And I did the Berenstain Bears. This particular story that I read has had over 1,000 views on Facebook. People out there are hungry for this. So hopefully they're finding me reading these stories, and they're sharing it with their kids or their grandkids. How did this get started? I work with a lot of college students, and a sorority at Louisiana State University in Shreveport contacted me and asked me how they could serve the kids in the children's hospital because they couldn't go visit them anymore. And I told them about doing story time. And I actually did a story that I had written for them and gave them the video to share with the kids. And then they started doing video reading for the kids in the children's hospital. This is awesome. And you can record it and leave it posted on Facebook Live so people can watch it at their convenience. Now, question is, what about copyrights? I checked with the public policy director of the American Library Association, and story time like this for children without being paid or compensated or any sort of charge is considered fair use as long as you give proper attribution to the author and the publisher. So, of course, Dr. Seuss and the Berenstein Bears by Stan and Jan Berenstein. So give that proper attribution when you're doing the story. And this is, of course, a great opportunity for them to get the word out about their stories. So that's something you can do anywhere, anytime. You could record several videos and then allow the teachers to, or people in the children's hospital to be able to watch them at their convenience. So that's how we're going to go about doing our reading program with our school this fall, is we're going to pre-record videos so that the teachers can show them to the students. There are service opportunities all around. What about people in nursing homes? We can't go visit them. In fact, right now their families can't go visit them, but you could become a pen pal. You can become a pen pal by writing letters, by email, and even by video. You can do this over platforms like Zoom and other things. So they get a chance to see a person, talk with a person. Most of the time, you just have to listen. This is a great service project for people of all ages. So I encourage you to bring your service leadership program students into these activities, these projects, this one particularly, because they're, I'm sure, missing their families, or maybe their families are not even nearby, and for whatever reasons, maybe they don't even have the technology to be able to do this, but you can do this through the nursing home. And then when things do get better, go and visit them. So work with a local nursing home or one anywhere that you can find. There was a nursing home in England who actually started a video grandparent program, and they had so many requests for people wanting to interact over video with their residents that they couldn't accommodate them all. So they started referring them to other nursing homes. Great opportunity, ways to serve. Talk about supporting the military. I heard that from one of our SLP speakers earlier. There's a program called Operation Gratitude. They do care packages and they send them overseas to military service people, to veterans in hospitals, to new recruits, and to first responders. Now, this is a little character that I like called Flat Stanley. And you can see there's some very different images. And these were colored by college students at conferences that I spoke at. And you can see it's supposed to be a boy character because it's named Stanley. But some of our students were very creative and made some female characters, because we do have women in the service. And so I love this project. I actually have permission from the author and publisher to use these characters for military support. So if your club would like to engage with this, see, what's great about this is engage your children, engage kids in these projects. Get your members to do that. So how are you going to keep your members involved and active and engaged? By getting their whole family involved and engaged. Parents nowadays, they are working from home. They are living at home. They are having to be teachers for their kids, and they're having to put in many more hours than maybe they did before. So how about engaging in some service projects while we're in this virtual kind of homeschooling world with our students? Plus, I like the color of these too. It's kind of fun. And this one here, the female character with the camouflage, this was actually a young lady who had been in the service. And when she came up to our table, she saw Flat Stanley and she said, "My unit got one of these." And they had actually received one of our Flat Stanleys. They had posted it in their barracks, and they actually sent it up in a drone over Afghanistan. So how can you have an impact? You can have impacts in lots of ways. Contact Operation Gratitude. Go to their website. You can write letters. You don't have to do Flat Stanley. You can do cards. There's lots of things you can do. They have some ideas there. They have some sample letters that you can do. So here it is, operationgratitude.com. And I just sent them over 500 letters and Flat Stanleys and got a wonderful thank you note in return. And so they appreciate it, and it helps them with their mission. Plus, they are also looking for donations of items and money to help create these care packages. So there's a lot of ways that you can engage your members in serving and serving those who serve us. So now let's move on. Third area, let's have fun. We got to have fun in our Kiwanis meetings. Otherwise, why do it? I shared a couple of ways to do that, but you can also do some things outside of the meeting. Maybe have a virtual happy hour. However you want to make that look. You know, your members can be on Zoom. You can or in Facebook Live or in other platforms, and you can get together and have a beverage. You can eat food. You can do whatever you want. Perhaps those members, if you have spouses who are both members. Now you've got some more interaction with people at a meeting. Go around and ask people how they're doing. This is something our Sunday school class does. Each week before we start our lesson, we go around and all the couples share what's going on in their lives. This is a great way for engagement and interactivity to get people to stay connected to Kiwanis. And where possible, even with social distancing, maybe you can do some of these live. There's some great things you can do by tailgating in parking lots. In other words, sitting on your tailgate of your car or in a lawn chair, 6 feet apart, and interact with other people. So find these ways to interact with your members to keep them engaged. There are online bingo and trivia platforms and games that you can access for free. So why not get involved in some of that type of activity? Online bingo, I do a lot of work with college students, and I am seeing this is probably one of the most popular activities that's going on right now, with literally hundreds of students at each college participating in online bingo. And then they email gift certificates and gift cards to the winners when they get their bingo, for their prize. So there's a lot you can do there. What about a Netflix or other streaming service watching party? There are ways that you can connect with other people. They have to have a Netflix account or the other service account, and then you can synchronize and watch a movie, a TV show, whatever. The Office is going off of Netflix in a few weeks. Maybe this would be a good time to get together and have a watching party with some of the members of your club. And then you can also pre-order food from restaurants for delivery. I just spoke for a school in California yesterday at community college, and their students are scattered around the community, and they arranged lunch for the students through a restaurant, Panera, because they all had one near their home, and they pre-ordered. And when we took our break, they went and they were able to go through the drive-through or a curbside pickup, get their food, and then they came back and they continued their conference. How cool is that? You could do the same sort of thing too. Here's the thing, be creative. We're still in business. We've just got to do business differently. Now, I've loved this opportunity to be with you. I wish you the best of luck. You've had a great year. Governor John and First Lady Jennifer are amazing people. You already know that. And it's been a thrill for me to participate with you. If I can ever be of service, I would love to do it. And I've been doing programs for a lot of Kiwanis clubs virtually. And so certainly feel free to contact me for something like that. If I'm available, I'm happy to do it. And I'd just like to finish with this thought. It's something that I wrote a few years ago. I think we can change the world by serving one life at a time. You've got a chance, Carolinas Kiwanis, a chance to do something different and something awesome. Thank you so much for having me here, and enjoy the rest of your virtual convention, and may we all be together again very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave, so much. It's great to see you, and hope you and Dee are doing well. All right, we're going to move on. We have one more order of business for our general session, and that is to celebrate our clubs that are turning 100 this year. Now, I am very excited to do this. As y'all know, with the pandemic, we were able to do a few things beforehand, before the pandemic, and then the pandemic happened and we were able to do nothing. But I was able to attend a number of 100-year celebrations. And what has been so great about our events is that each event I've been to has really reflected the community that they're in. So I think that is really, really tremendous. And we really appreciate just how hard working our 100-year-old clubs are. So first we'll start with Asheville. They were club number 1 here in the Carolinas, and it was great to be with Asheville. They had theirs at Lutheridge Camp in Arden, North Carolina. And actually they were started by the Kentucky-Tennessee district. So they were started before there was a Carolinas district. The Knoxville Kiwanis Club came over the mountain to help start the Asheville Club. And Jennifer and I had such a great time visiting with the Asheville Club for their 100th anniversary. That was on August 11th, 1919. Next was Charlotte. Charlotte had a great event. I was able to attend that at a beautiful country club. That was on August 27th, 1919. The Kiwanis Club of Greenville, September 20th, 1919. We met at their beautiful location where they have their lunch. And then we were able to attend the Kiwanis Club of Spartanburg's event. And they were started on October 2nd, 1919. Now, there is some competition between Greenville and Spartanburg about which one was actually first. But we have to go by what was written on their charter document. So we'll let our friends in upstate South Carolina fight that one out. But we had a great event. It was a black tie event, and it was so fun to be with our friends in Spartanburg. Next up was Greensboro, North Carolina in October of 1919, followed by Winston-Salem in November of 1919, followed by the Raleigh Kiwanis Club, then the Durham Kiwanis Club in February of 1920. We were then joined by the Wilmington folks out on the coast. My home club, Columbia, South Carolina, home of the Fighting Gamecocks and the city where friendliness flows, was started on March 15th, the Ides of March in 1920. Next up was Greenwood Kiwanis Club, followed by Burlington. I was able to zoom into the Burlington Kiwanis Club on their 100th anniversary. They had planned a big event and unfortunately weren't able to have that event. So they got me speaking to them on Zoom. So I definitely enjoyed it, and I hope to go to Burlington as soon as I can. Our next four clubs were Rocky Mount, North Carolina on May 18th, followed by High Point on the 24th of May, Goldsboro on July 26th, and we haven't quite gotten to Fayetteville on December 1st yet. So maybe, fingers crossed, Fayetteville is going to have an actual event in person if we can make our way through some of this mess that we're in. So I'm just so proud of those clubs and all of their energies and lasting 100 years. It's really, really quite remarkable. So that does it for our general session, but we are not done yet. Do not get up yet. We have a survey that will pop up on your screen in just a moment. We have educational sessions that are coming up, so I want you to stick around for that. We're going to hear from Greg McDonald, our immediate past governor, and Joe Krostick, our brand new governor-elect designate. They're going to talk about COVID and finding your path forward for your club through the COVID-19 crisis. And then we'll hear from our District Education Committee Chairman, Casey Ramsey, and District Trustee, Mary Winfrey, on membership growth during the pandemic. So, survey coming right up. Take the survey, then take your break, and then meet back here at 11 o'clock.